Welcome. This is Vegilan. With me, I have Izzul Hakimi and Ameera Aqiela binti Abdul Hadi, both first-time voters who are really excited about the opportunity. So, Ameera, what are the qualities that you look for or expect to see in your elected representative?
So, what I really want to look for in terms of quality for the representative is definitely they are really educated, competent, right? Just by looking at how they bring themselves in the parliament, how they approach to certain situation, and also there's a video circulated that the elder in the parliament has been bullying those some of those young MPs. So just by looking at how they conduct themselves, those are the things I also wanted to see. And then the other thing is I want someone is very firm. They really know what they wanted to do. There's no here and there. When they talk about something, they are very firm with their opinion.
Fully agreed on how they conduct themselves in Parliament, but also just another quality that I expect in an elected representative would be just a sense of accountability, especially when a mistake has been made or has happened, for them to own up to it, to admit their responsibility, and to actually work to fix it instead of maybe deflecting it or blaming someone else for the mistake. I think accountability is definitely a quality that every elected representative should have, because they are working for the Malaysian people, not themselves.
What is the biggest challenge that, in your opinion, should be tackled by the new prime minister, and why?
Cost of living will definitely be the main issue at hand and the biggest challenge for the incoming prime minister, because with rising cost of living, it will definitely impact the more vulnerable communities in Malaysia, especially the B40 community. And so, uplifting and supporting those communities will be of the utmost importance, to sort of ensure that their quality of life has not been hindered to a point where living is a struggle.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that. And then another thing is the ongoing job opportunities and the landscape of the workforce. Me myself working in HR now, it's really really hard to find quality talents. There's definitely a gap or a mismatch between those graduated and what is really needed in the industry. So I think that's another challenge that the next prime minister has to look into, especially post pandemic. A lot of new jobs has never been available before are now here. So those are kind of things that I believe they have to look into.
How much influence has your family had on the way you view elections and politics in general?
Yeah, so as a first time voter, right? I definitely learn a lot from my brothers and my sister. So I think the influence is definitely high. So when they share their story, when they share their opinion and the narrative, definitely they are leaning towards a certain party. So as individual that is going to be voting next, I do have to make a fair judgment between all of the party over there. So even though I learn a lot from them, hear what's their thoughts and stuff like that, I still have to make my own decision. So I believe the influence is really high, especially with the undi 18, the youngsters that just left school. They would not have anyone nearer to them that are able to explain what is politics all about, other than the internet, right? Other than online or social media, because even their peers, they have never voted before and they don't really learn about it in school. The scandal, whatever, the tactics behind the strategy, they don't really see that in school. So I think the older siblings and the parents, but it's much more relatable to talk and much more comfortable to talk with someone that is nearer your age. So I think the older siblings play a lot of influence for me.
Being the oldest of four, I didn't have older siblings to learn from about politics. But then my parents growing up would always sort of have their own commentary on political happenings in Malaysia. But thankfully, what I do appreciate about my parents is that they never encouraged me to lean politically towards one party or the other. They sort of at least like encouraged me to have my own opinions on politics. And I think, yeah, growing up, at least in that sense, when talking about with my brothers about politics, I'm sure they get a lot of it from me. And I also, just like my parents, also give them or provide them the space to sort of come up with their own perspective on how they want the country to be run and governed.
What's your primary source of information on the ongoing election, and why do you prefer it to others?
So in terms of my primary source, it is still news portals, but mainly they're shared on WhatsApp in multiple WhatsApp groups of just like whether it be developments on GE15 or whether it be on like new additions to the voting process. My primary source would still have to be, uh, you know, news portals, but shared on WhatsApp. But then whether I prefer it to others, it's really a matter of whether I sort of use other platforms. For example, I don't have TikTok personally, so I'm not too sure what information is being shared on other platforms. But then I'm also not seeing a lot of political information or campaigning being done on like Facebook or Twitter as of yet. So yeah, mainly WhatsApp.
Yeah. Okay. So for me, definitely news portal as well, like the one that is being initiated by Malaysia Kini, the News Lab platform, which is really good. I feel like the UI UX was really nicely done and arranged, and it's really easy to digest for, especially for the only 18 at the youngsters. And then another one for me is this is social media, definitely, because I spend a lot of time on TikTok, and TikTok is a platform where you can just go and digest like a short mini videos and then get a lot of information from there.
Of the many promises made by the three coalition in this contesting in this general election, are there any one particular promise or promises that captured your imagination, and why?
So I think the one that is really attractive to me is something that is relatable. So talking about childcare just now, childcare for I just need to have a look at this. Yeah, so PH is talking about how they will do a universal child benefit deposited monthly up to the age of 6 years old to reduce child malnutrition. So if you were to imagine in the future, we will get money coming in into our account deposited directly every month, to take care of our children under the age of 6. Like myself, I have a child of 2 years old, so I think that would be really something that is really good. And then BN talking about free childcare and education for children under the age of 6. Imagine if I were to have that right now, that would be really helpful. Childcare cost is expensive. And then if I were to go into woman, relating to me as a woman, I think another really big issue is about the sanitary product of the B40 that didn't get access to it. This is actually a really big, huge issues that I don't think people are really looking into it. So PH is saying that there's a free sanitary pads and tampons for the B40, even starting from primary and secondary school. So I think this is really, really good. And if we were to have this and adapt this, imagine what would happen in the future and how this actually can help the society as a whole. Yeah, how about you, Izo?
Yeah, actually, all three coalitions and their manifestos all have sort of interesting ideas. But then a few that did catch my attention is, I guess, to start with would be PH. I think they're really going for a fair and transparent Malaysia, with establishing or repealing draconian provisions like the Sedition Act 1948, or even like setting 10-year term limits, or even declaring like their assets or continuing the declaration of assets. All those things are interesting, but it's also uh, this continuous or consistent mention of like fair allocation for different schools in terms of funding, or in terms of admissions to like TVET institutions. I feel like when we have to move forward in a sense of like we are all Malaysians and not just based on like getting accepted into an institution just because of one's race. Uh, I think that's a very interesting and progressive idea, sort of being propped up by PH. But then PN also has interesting sort of ideas in the sense that they also want to ban all political donations from abroad to protect national sovereignty. I think that's one that's an idea that wasn't mentioned by either BN or PH, and I think it also sort of shed light on maybe an issue that we haven't really talked much about in the political environment in Malaysia.
They are Izzul Hakimi Azram bin Ikram and Ameera Aqiela binti Abdul Hadi. I am Vay Ilanchilian. Thank you.